Hello and welcome back to the Go for Two podcast. I'm Liam, your host, and we're in for our week 3 preview of the NFL season. And as always, I'm joined by my tush push co-host, the man that thinks it's the best player in football, is of course Patrick. How you doing, mate?
I'm very good. I believe the Eagles ran it 7 times last Sunday. Varying success.
Chris Jones, I did see that today. That was 7 times. I'm sure they'll run it 7 times on Sunday, in a game we'll talk about.
The Rams could not stop it last season, by the way, in those 2 games either.
No one can stop it when everyone's offside and false starting, but we'll see. We'll enjoy it whilst it lasts. We've got 20 weeks of it left, and then after it's all gone. But yeah, we're here to talk about week 3 in the NFL season. Me and Patrick will actually be in the States for week 3. We're going to go and pick every game against the spread. We'll spend very little time on Thursday Night Football because we're recording this on Thursday, so probably everyone who listens will already know the result. We've got a couple of games in the early slate to talk more about. We've got one big game in the 9 p.m. window that we want to talk about, and then we're going to spend a bit of time on Sunday and Monday Night Football. Sunday Night Football is a game of two 0-2 teams, so we shouldn't talk about it. But as the host who organizes the sheet, I'm forcing us to talk about it because it's my team. And then Monday night, we've got a really good game, which should be exciting for everyone. So, yeah. Should we crack on, mate? The scores last week was 9-8 to me. We clawed it back after a good Monday night doubleheader from us both. So you're 4 behind early on in the season. So how are you feeling? Are you under pressure? Are you yet or not?
Letting the offense warm up, I think. Not taking too many downfield shots at the moment, like the Eagles.
Sounds like Jalen Hurts. Okay, on to week 3 then. On to Thursday Night Football. What a game this is not. Dolphins at the Bills. This is, I think, the biggest spread of the season that we've been doing, by the way. Bills are favored by 12.5 points at home on a Thursday, which is big. Like I mentioned earlier, everyone listening has probably already seen the score of this game, so we'll just move on pretty quick. But I've gone for Bills minus 12.5. Don't like to pick massive spreads, but Bills traditionally dominate against bad teams in the regular season. They dominate in division. The Dolphins normally actually do okay against them at times on offense, but not this year. I'm just doubting the Dolphins completely, to be honest, after last week. So, yeah, I'll go Bills minus 12.5.
Yeah, I thought Ed Oliver and someone else on the defense was out for Buffalo. And ordinarily, on a short week, I would think about maybe backing the bigger spread, but not this week for me. I'll go Buffalo. I'd expect them to do whatever they wanted on offense, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. On to Sunday then, and we'll talk about the 2 games, or the games that I think are the bigger games first, and we'll talk about your teammate. Rams at Eagles, rematch of the wild card?
Divisional round, yeah.
Divisional round. Eagles are favored at home by 3.5 points.
Okay.
So 2 points less than the playoff game, which already is interesting enough. Rams have been, what did you mention? 2-0, I would say, to the season. You called that out the other day, which I think was a good shout. Eagles opposite. All I'm seeing online is tush push drama. All I'm seeing is it's the least amount of 10-plus yard throws any team's done in the NFL. A lot of criticism of the OC, a lot of criticism of the cornerbacks, a lot of criticism of Jalen Carter looking winded against the Chiefs the other day. But they're 2-0. And the Rams I'm hearing nothing about, and they're 2-0. Yeah, what a weird place for these two teams to be. Are you expecting this to be a entertaining match, or are you expecting this to be a bit of a Texans-Rams where it was low-scoring, kind of defense-first battle?
Yeah, I'd imagine so, to be honest with you. The Rams are playing pretty well on offense, aren't they? I think the Eagles' front will challenge Stafford more than he's been challenged so far this season. But I wouldn't expect... It depends what you mean by entertainment. If you find 24-20 entertaining with a couple of grind-it-out drives from the Eagles, I think maybe that's what we're going to get. I think this should be a close game, to be honest. The divisional round game was close. If you remember, Eagles played the Rams about week 12 or 13 last year and whacked them in LA. That's when the Eagles' offense kind of started ramping up then, because the Rams twice last season couldn't stop Saquon, and he's not really had a breakout game yet. He was okay against the Chiefs last week. So I'm expecting a better ground game from Philadelphia this week. But I think the Rams will have success on offense, to be honest with you. Stafford, he looks pretty good so far, doesn't he? He looks healthy, but it's that whether he can carry on and that be sustainable all season for them.
Yeah, he just picks up those knocks, doesn't he? He's one of them where you kind of want him to start fast, get some wins under your belt, and you want him to be healthy in January, don't you? The chances of him being healthy for 21, 22 weeks just seems unlikely. But yeah, you're right. He has looked really good. I think he hasn't had the stats similar to Saquon, but Kyren Williams has looked pretty good as well. A lot of first downs, played a lot of snaps, catching balls out of the backfield. And then Devontae Adams is the main one as well. Like, I know we never kind of subscribed to the notion that he was washed or, wasn't as good as he was. Yes, he's not the best receiver in the NFL, but in free agency, he was clearly, the best guy to go out and get. They get him. Him and Stafford seem to be playing pretty well together. And then when you've got Puka throwing his body into screens and running for 50 yards and then catching for 30 yards, the offense seems to be in a really, really good place. And in week 1, I heard a lot about the defense. Week 2, I went back and watched the Titans game, and I think there's some drops there from the Titans that could have made the game closer. So I think Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, like Kitchens, for example, they need to be better in this game because I think they're not going to slow the run down if they let Philly do whatever they want up front. So I think that's probably going to be important for the Rams is to get, when it's a passing down, get after Jalen Hurts. When it's a rush down, just contain it. Don't go for 20 yards. Just see if you can contain it to 5 or 6. I think that's going to be key. And I think we'll probably see a flag or 2 on the tush push. So if you're the Rams, I don't think 3rd and 1 is as bad as it would have been 2 weeks ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with you. The flags, I think, are definitely coming.
Yeah. We'll be in a bar in New York watching this game, and there'll be a flag, and the whole bar will be going mental, screaming like, finally, and you'll have to be there, keeping your head down as an Eagles fan in New York. What about the Eagles' offense then? Outside of the run game, the Rams aren't known for having good cornerbacks, obviously. Secondary safety unit's pretty good. Linebackers, not the best in coverage. Corner's not the best. And Dallas Goedert looks like he's probably going to play. Is this a game you think the Eagles will get the passing game going, or do you think that only happens if Saquon is going first?
It's difficult to know, really, the game, because when you look at Dallas in the first week, you just take the Dallas passing defense and then you put that into week 2 when they got shredded by New York. And you think to yourself, perhaps the Eagles should be more slightly more risk averse. I know it got them to where they wanted to be last season, but you can't bank on 2,000 yards from Saquon Barkley again. So it is going to have to go down the field at some point and not just from like a cover 0 blitz where you're kind of just throwing it up. I would like to see A.J. Brown kind of get dialed up on some more intermediate throws. I think there's a chance this week, but again, if the Eagles take an early lead and then are just going to lean on the run game, I wouldn't, it is what it is, and they're going to try and win just by doing that and not feeling the need to force it. So I think it depends maybe how the game starts and whatnot, but I would like to see some more variance.
Yeah, maybe they will. I know A.J. Brown seems pretty cool and calm at the moment, but we might get an A.J. Brown diva wide receiver moment soon. And I think Devontae Smith's all right after he fell over and obviously hurt his back in that game. But it'll be A.J. Brown they want to get going. Total for this one, by the way, is 44.5. That feels about right, but it sounds like you'd probably go under that, would you? Especially if
maybe just. Yeah, I can't see it being a shootout, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Cool. Let's pick it then. You're first. Eagles -3.5 is the spread.
Yeah, I'll go Eagles. I think they'll win by 4-2, a touchdown, I think.
Of course I'm going to go the Rams. Come on. Rams +3.5. I still love the Rams offense. I'm a bit worried about the corners. They did not look very good last week, like I said. So I want to see them against probably second or third best wide receiver duo in the NFL, if you like Higgins and Chase. I'll be interested to see if the Rams can cope better. If not, we could see a Les Snead trade on the deadline because the rest of the team looks really, really good for the Rams. On to the next game then, AFC South. I put this down as the next biggest game in the early window. We got Texans at Jags, the battle for the division in my eyes. Jags -1.5 is our spread. So they're favored at home, which they weren't actually at the start of the season. Before the season, this was the other way around. But the Texans maybe have flattered to deceive a little bit. Pretty big game, I think, mate, for both teams. Jags played pretty well in week 1, played very well at times in week 2, but then had that meltdown that we spent quite a while talking about. Texans have not looked good for me throughout, really, yet, and it's a big game for them in division. Yeah, could be a bit of a cagey one, I think, with the Texans definitely needing a win.
I mean, you couldn't convince me that this is not a huge game in the division. The Texans are 0-2, by the way. You fought at 0-3, and you don't get many division winners 0-3, do you, coming out?
No. It's all wild card, isn't it? You're kind of 6-7 seed if you go 0-3. That's the stats.
Exactly, and that's who you are. And then you're thinking, is this division really going to get 2 teams coming out of the playoffs? So then it all becomes kind of muddled up like that. So what a chance for the Jags this is, to be honest with you. They're going to need to put that game behind them against Cincinnati. I mean, I went back and watched it the other day in 40, and I just thought to myself, quite sure how you've not won this game, to be honest with you. It's especially when Jake Browning came in. So, yeah, I mean, what a huge game. And Texans, by the way, quietly, I think because they played on Monday Night Football, doubleheader this week. In the UK, we don't put as much stock in it, but quietly, they got to be taking the Chiefs out of the equation, the most disappointing team so far in the NFL. You know, they don't look good either. Sort of, yeah, I know they only got beat by a point by the Bucs and a few by the Rams, but it's just, yeah, they don't look good either. The run game does not look good, as advertised, really, when kind of 2025 Nick Chubb is your number one, right?
Yeah, true. And the offensive line that, you know, we were definitely worried about. And I heard other people be worried about, to be fair. But I heard others say, you know, a fresh start, getting rid of some of the faces that caused the problems last year might improve them 10, 20%. It's very early, isn't it? But there's no signs of that. The offensive line just looks like a nightmare. And obviously, Baker was down, 3 offensive linemen in that game? Yeah. And I know the defense didn't look, you know, the Bucs didn't score 50 points, but at times they could still move the ball pretty well against the Texas defense that I thought would be the best or one of the best in the NFL. But I think we've said this in the past with the Jets teams that yes, the defense might be the best on paper, but your offense has to be good enough, doesn't it? Like otherwise the defense just it can't stand 9-10 drives in a row of having to hold a team to 3 points. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the offense is probably making the defense look a bit worse than it is, and the defense is still not giving up a lot of points, to be fair. Yeah, I'd just be a bit worried if I was a Texans fan. But this is a perfect game. Jags on the road, they're in a weird position. The way they played last week, some of the news stories around the team. Feels like if the Texans can get their act together, this is a game they can go away, win, and get back on track, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just based on what you said there about the defense, at the time of possession, the Texans had the ball for 22 minutes on Monday night. You know, then they lost the time of possession to the Rams also. So it's just you just don't want that unit out there all the time, do you? I think this is a great game, to be honest with you. This is for me, storyline wise, up there with the Eagles and Rams, and probably more important actually when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it feels more important, especially like we said for the Texans.
Because you've got the other division game is going on that we'll talk about later, but Colts are going to want to go 3-0 this week against the Titans. So it's
yeah. What did you make of the? We spoke about the Brian Thomas Jr. situation. Then they come out afterwards and said he had a wrist injury that was probably impacting him, but clear that before the game. And I've seen some people say, okay, yeah, he kind of short-armed a few catches, but Trevor Lawrence is still throwing him hospital balls. So I think that's probably something I didn't mention the other day, that when you go back and watch that game, I think there's probably a little bit of both sides, isn't there? And maybe the Jags are trying to protect Brian Thomas with that. Maybe exaggerating the truth.
That connection just has to get better, right? Because there was one that he threw across the middle of the field that Thomas pulled out from, and that looked like he was going to get wasted on it. I'm sure you know the pass that I'm talking about, but I was like, yeah, and he was like, "No, that's not for me. This one." So it's the connection just has to get better.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and the end zone pass that everyone's talking about is actually after that. So it would not surprise you if in your head you're pulling out a bit because you're like, "Jesus Christ, he took my head off." But yeah, cool. The spread on total, by the way, on this one's also 44.5. I actually think this game could be quite high scoring. I think personally. AFC Souths go either way. But yeah, it's me to go first. I did pick them to win the divisions. Spoiler alert, I do expect the Colts to probably go 3-0. And then if the Texans beat the Jags on the road, that's not really saying a lot for my division preview. So I'm going to stick with my guns from preseason for now and say Jags -1.5. I think they win the game. I think it's very close. And like I said earlier, just then I think it's going to be more high scoring than people think. So yeah, I'll go Jags just about, but hard game to call, I think.
Yeah, really hard game. I'll join you on Jags. Looks like a field goal game, but it would be crushing if the Colts went 3-0 and the Texans 0-3. So let's see what transpires.
Yeah, and let's talk about that game whilst we're on the AFC South. Colts obviously away at the Titans. Colts are favoured on the road by 3.5 points. This has gone up as well since preseason by a couple of points. So, you know, the bookmakers definitely liking what they're seeing from the Colts. Daniel Jones playing pretty well. Defensive lines playing well. They've turned the ball over a lot, which we'll see if that's, can carry on for the season. That can be a little bit lucky at times. But yeah, turn the ball over, running the ball well. And then I think what me and you've said before, and people like, I know Robert Mays has mentioned it, the weapons are actually quite good for the Colts. It's just, can anyone throw them, get them the ball? And, you know, so far they're doing it. So this is a big game for them. It's you to go first, mate. It feels like a bigger game for the Titans than the Colts in a way. But the Colts will probably come into it being like, right, let's get this 3-0 start. We know the division teams can't catch us unless we lose some games then. So, yeah, interesting game. But where are you going to go with the spread?
I'm going to go Colts. I think we'll see, same as last week, we'll see a lot of Jonathan Taylor. Whether he kind of gets up to 200 all-purpose yards or around there again, we'll see. But I really like the way that they're set up, to be honest. Offensive line looks good. And obviously, we don't know, maybe a little bit like Sam Darnold last year with the Vikings, maybe Daniel Jones will fall off at some point. But hey, you've got to ride it while it's hot, and the weapons are playing well. Tyler Warren is playing out of his mind. He looks great. By the way, what a different, I was thinking about this earlier this week, him and Colston Loveland obviously were drafted right near each other. What different situations that they've been drafted into, where Loveland has had like 2 targets all season and Warren looks like one of the best tight ends in football already. So it's just...
Yeah, and the narrative obviously that it was the other way around. That Loveland had a situation as well than he had. So
No, I'm going Colts this week. I think they go 3-0. Probably Cam Ward probably makes a couple of big plays like he did last week, but could do with his receivers to stop dropping passes.
Yeah, their defense not as good as I'd hoped either, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. I'm going to go Colts. Going to carry them riding the Colts train until Daniel Jones falls off the tracks potentially. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor looks great, and he's always been good when healthy. Yeah, he mentioned on Wednesday, whenever it was his press conference, the healthiest he's been in a while. So I think they'll kind of run the ball with him and win the game. But yeah, I'm with you. I think there'll be some big throws from Ward, definitely. On to Tampa Bay then. Jets at the Bucks. Bucks are favored at home by 6.5 points. They've had some more bad luck with injuries on the offensive line. I think Gadecki's either out for the season or out for a long time. And they've got 3 of their starting offensive linemen down, but they still lead the NFL, by the way, in EPA per play. So again, feels like it's definitely not just Baker Mayfield, but they keep getting every OC higher right. So maybe it is Baker Mayfield. But yeah, they've started the season well in terms of wins. The offense looks good. The defense looks great. And they've also lost someone to a torn pec. Can't remember who it was now. The Bucks. Clyde Cansey. So yeah, they're riddled with injuries, but playing well on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to go with the Bucks minus 6.5 against the Jets. Jets defensive line definitely cause a banged up offensive line problems, but yeah, I just like what I'm seeing from Ibuka, from Evans. Bucky Irvin looks great again. And Baker Mayfield's a bit of a dog at the moment on the field, getting it done. So, yeah, I'm going to go Bucks.
Yeah, that game-winning drive, by the way. Like I said, Monday Night Football doesn't get talked about in the UK. Like, does it? That game-winning drive was like some big boy stuff. I mean, he converted 4th and 10 on the ground, didn't he, Baker? From
DJ.
He did, yeah, he did. And I just think, yeah, and then obviously he's had a bit of a spat with CJ Gardner-Johnson, and they came together. The feeling around the Bucks is really good. I think they can manage these injuries and then go. But I mean, I can't go against the Bucks this week. Jets have unfortunately starting Tyrod Taylor at quarterback, so it's unfortunate that Fields is injured already, and hopefully it can be sorted for the London games. By the way, because I'm not sure we need Tyrod Taylor coming and starting a game in London, but not at those £200 cheap seat tickets.
Absolutely crazy for that. Yeah, big tip ships turn slow is what Aaron Glenn said about turning this franchise around. But we'll see. They didn't look good last week, so we'll see what this week looks like. The next game then should have been very fun. It would have been a game we had highlighted to talk about more, but unfortunately there's a quarterback injury in this game as well. I think Mariota is playing. I assume by the spread that Mariota is playing. I might be wrong. But Raiders at Commanders, I'll check. And Commanders are favored by 3.5 points at home. Raiders did not look good against the Chargers. Bowers did look hurt to me, to be honest, unfortunately. But he is going to play in this game again, so I'm not sure, what that says. Gino had a really bad game through a couple of bad picks. Ashton Genty is doing a little bit Fournette vibes at the moment, but I think that could be the offensive line. I read some good metrics from I can't remember the guy's second name now, but his name's Ted for the Athletic. He's a film writer and watcher, but he's also a Raiders fan. And he was talking about how it's the interior offensive line that's the problem, which I think is fair enough if you look at the team on paper. So, yeah, they've been a bit disappointing. Commanders up and down. The defense has not been very good. They didn't look very good against the Packers. And now we've got this Jaden Daniels injury. What do you make of this game and that spread?
I will say, what I read about Ashton Genty is he's an eye test at the moment and not a box score for Genty. So I think we've got to kind of hopefully he can kind of bounce out of that as the season goes on. It's tough sledging for him. He did shake Derwin James out of his boots, though. That seems to be his highlight NFL play so far, doesn't it? Oh, Geno Smith, by the way, I think I read he was 0 for 10 in passes that went over 10 yards on Monday Night Football. Slinging it is great and having that aggression, but when it goes wrong, it can look awful. And they look like a bad football team Monday nights. Yeah. Jayden Daniels, though, being out, it's got to be worrying early in the season because he was kind of banged up at the end of the season as well in the playoffs.
I don't like knee sprain either. It's like,
yeah.
he's not out. I've just checked. He's not out, but he's obviously doubtful. And Mario is the backup, and he's a pretty good backup. But long term, you need Daniels healthy. And I saw Mina Kimes on ESPN had a good segment about it. Everyone said it last year, and it never happened, so it kind of didn't matter. But he's still extremely skinny for a rushing quarterback. Do you know what I mean? Like Josh Allen, doesn't look like Jayden Daniels looks. He's a much thicker build. Lamar had to put weight on after that second season was when he put weight on. So yeah, we'll see. But if Mariota plays, if we knew he was starting, there's a definite winner in the spread for me. But where are you going, I guess, with the chance that Jayden might turn up?
Yeah, I'm going for the Raiders, actually. I think if you're going to play the variance game with Geno Smith throwing the ball plus 10 yards a lot of the time of the game, I like it against the Washington secondary this week. Bowers is he's all hinges on Bowers, really. If he's kind of playing hurt, it does hinder you, doesn't it? So, but I'm going to go Raiders.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to go Raiders. We've got Bowers and Genty that just need to get more out of those guys. Even if it's Genty in the passing game as well, that's been a bit of an utilized thing. He did that at Boise State pretty well in that. It was all kind of swings and screens, but he hasn't had that either so far this season. On to the NFC South then. Falcons at the Panthers. Falcons are favored on the road by 5.5. It's me to go first in this one, but I would like to see the Panthers play well. Both their guards are out. Bryce Young has not had a good game yet without those starting interior offensive linemen they spent all that money on whenever it was it 2 free agencies ago? And he's just not looked good without those, and they're both out. Both left and right guard are out. So I'm going to go Falcons minus 5.5. Penix is a little bit like Geno for me at the moment, where we are seeing kind of hit and miss drives. But Bijan looks like an incredible player, great fantasy pickup. So, yeah, I'll go Falcons minus 5.5. I'm just worried we are seeing another year where the Panthers might be the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you there, unfortunately. It's not looking good for Bryce Young's continuation as a starter in the NFL beyond this year either. Sneaky, by the way. I know Atlanta handled Minnesota last Sunday Night Football. Apart from Bijan, there's not a lot on offense. Penix was not good last week. I know the Vikings got a good defense, but something to watch out for, I think, as we go forward, see how much of a threat Atlanta can be. But I'll have to go Atlanta on the spread.
Yeah. I hope they do play a bit better in this game, but I'm not sure. The total was only 43 as well, so it's like Vegas is thinking this is a low-scoring game, and the Falcons are going to score all the points. We'll see. Cool. On to Cleveland then in the 6 p.m. window still. We've got Packers at the Browns. Packers look like probably the best team so far through a few weeks. They're favored on the road by 7.5 points, which is a big spread. Browns defense, I think, has done pretty well again. They lose a few players every year, but it seems like with Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, and whoever they pick as defensive coordinator every year, it doesn't matter who's in there, calling each play. The defense seems to be pretty good, but the Packers have been good on both sides of the ball. You're first on this one, mate. So you get just over the touchdown for the Packers. Where are you going?
Yeah, last week I went the Browns to cover, and I just don't think the offense has enough to be covering this. The defense looks like at times it's playing out of its mind, to be honest with you. I mean, they held Baltimore, by the way, to a really low overall yardage, completely bottled up Derrick Henry, but I just can't. It is what it is on offense. The run game is not there with the kind of the rookies yet, but for a breakout game, or maybe a Dylan Sampson. But I mean, if Flacco's at quarterback, there's not going to be any progression to the offense, really, is this? So I'm going to have to go Packers. I'd expect Monday morning that we're saying that all the media are saying this is the number one team in football, because I think the defense might feast on this offense.
Yeah, this could be a big day for Parsons. Going back to the Browns as well, Myles Garrett, again, a lot of people you're not going to turn down, what was it, 41 million? Was it a year? Something like that, wasn't it? But you're not going to necessarily turn that down, but you would have got that somewhere else. A lot of people, saying he should have kind of forced that trade through and they should have traded him. But regardless of what you think about that, he looks even better this year. Some of the clips are mental. Like, he looks faster to me, which is crazy to say. But yeah, he's going to be one of those players, I think, that it's not a waste because he's going to get loads of all-pros, defensive player of the years. Cleveland are going to love him forever. He's going to probably be I don't know enough about Cleveland Brown history, but he's probably going to be one of their best or second best ever players all time, probably. But yeah, it's just I watched him against I watched the Burrow clips that came back out after his injury that got shared again. And if you look, every snap where they're like, "Oh, look at the Bengals offensive line," it is the Bengals offensive line, but it's Myles Garrett. It's no one else on the defense. It's just Myles Garrett, and I was like, "This is incredible." So yeah, we'll see. I think he might have some success against the Packers offensive line, but the offense won't be good enough. This is the weirdest game for the week for me in terms of what the hell these two teams are. Steelers at the Patriots. Steelers are favored on the road by 1.5 points, same as we favored again, like they were in week 1. We have Rodgers a bit up and down. DK didn't look great last week. They did do what we said, by the way, where I saw some Twitter clips after we finished of it was Reek Woolen kind of causing issues for DK Metcalf and making him kick off and try and fight him. But yeah, the run game looks all over the place. The defense looks good on one drive, then poor on the next. I think Ramsey's looked pretty good. Then with the Patriots, you've got, to the eye, I don't think Drake Mays looks very good. And then some stats come out this week where he's been one of the best on-target throwers in the NFL. And you're just there like, I don't know what we're going to get with this game, mate. This could be a blowout for either team, or a tight win for either team, or a tie. And I would not sit here in our next pod and be surprised, I don't think.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly, this. Really ugly. And what a shame, by the way, through 2 weeks, that Travion Henderson has been a non-entity, by the way. He was renowned for his pass protection, and that's not been good so far through 2 weeks. I saw someone clip that up really well on Twitter, and he looks more of a hindrance when he's kind of on the field, which is a real shame. Like you, I don't know what to expect in this game. Would you expect maybe the still better quarterback to kind of dink and dunk his way to enough points to win? I'm not sure. Like you said, though, then it's surprising what you just said about Drake May, because he's looked quite ugly.
Yeah.
So far, it looks ugly so far. And I think there's been a lot of disappointment. But, if he's kind of throwing accurately like that, who is it to go first picking this game?
Me.
Excellent.
Me. Yeah, I don't know. I should pick the Patriots as someone who's picked them in the playoffs, but I've just got a weird feeling about the Steelers in this game. I think what you said was bang on. Dink and dunk, I think was the word you just used. I feel like Rodgers might only throw 24 passes, but be 22 of 24, and the 2 passes he misses are picks. But the other ones just go for 3 yards, 6 yards, 3 yards, 6 yards. Yeah, I obviously listened to Bill Simmons' pods, and I think the Patriots special teams was like second to last in EPA. The offensive line's given up the second most pressure rate. I think all the other units aren't doing very good, so I'm going to go with Tomlin to kind of just get it done. Steelers to win on the road. I don't want it to happen. I want Drake May to come and win this game by 20. But yeah, I'm going to go Steelers on the road. I think their experience will probably come through a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you, to be honest. And what's so funny is you read all the stuff. Obviously, they've not won this game yet, but if they win this game, go 2-1, go to Dublin next week, probably play Carson Wentz, maybe go 3-1. Everyone's saying that this is Tomlin's worst team, offensively and defensively. Yeah, they could be sitting at 3-1 in 10 days' time. The man just gets wins no matter how. So I'm going to go Steelers as well on this. I'd love to see Drake May come out and look better. I know, like the eye test and everything, he's not everything, but it has looked bad so far.
It has looked bad, yeah. The offensive line as well, to be fair to him, has looked bad. But yeah, going back to what you said, Antonio Gibson, I don't know if he got more snaps or not, but he had more successful, so where they do success rate, so successful snaps went for more than what we think they should have gone than Henderson did in that game. And I'm just like, that can't. Everyone's been trying to get rid of Antonio Gibson for years, it feels like, in the NFL. So yeah, going back to what we just said about the Steelers as well, the international games are not looking great in terms of injuries at the moment. There needs to be some turnaround for the people going into some of these games. On to the team you just mentioned then, with Carson Wentz starting. We've got quarterback battle for the ages. Bengals at Vikings. This game looked incredible 10 days ago. Doesn't look so good anymore. Although I've seen some hot takes that could the offense actually look better short term with Carson Wentz until he does Carson Wentz things. But the Vikings are favored at home by 3.5 points. So Vegas certainly thinks that, the downgrade from JJ isn't as big as, what people probably think. Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz in week 3, mate. How do we get here already?
Yeah, week 3. It's not good, that, is it? We got Tyrod Taylor also starting a game, and he's coming over internationally in a few weeks. And yeah, Joe Flacco's there knocking around. But I saw something that who was saying that Jake Brown in the offense doesn't really skip a beat because they scheme up so many more simple throws than him compared to letting Burrow do what he wants. And I just think, for me, I'm not having that. I'm not having Jake Browning coming in and the old franchise is not going to take kind of a dip down. So, yeah, I don't know. But going on to the Vikings, is JJ McCarthy, the way he's played through 7 out of 8 quarters, is it really a drop-off to Carson Wentz? He's only played 2 Week 18 games in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I would have preferred a better backup if I was them. Because they traded... Did they trade Sam Howell to you?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they got Carson Wentz in after the whole of training camp as well. I think they're better about it if it was Sam Howell had been there for the whole of training camp with O'Connell, to be honest. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about that. You know he's going to sling it, right? And he's going to run. It's going to be 3rd and 10. He's going to run. He's going to elbow someone in the face, try and get a first down. But yeah,
I mean, Aaron Jones has gone on IR as well. So it's like you're going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of Jordan Mason, probably in that game as well. But yeah, I don't know how it's going to look. It feels like you might get more, I don't know, will you get more stupid plays? But I feel like you'll get more like, okay, we're in the right play. We've checked to a run. Do you know what I mean? We're in the right formation. We're in the right play. Whereas JJ maybe wasn't quite doing that. But after 2 weeks, I guarantee Carson Wentz will not be better than JJ. But for 1 week, just to settle things down. Also, obviously, your alternative is JJ playing with an ankle sprain, which is not what you want. So yeah, it's you though to pick first, thankfully, on this game.
I'm going to go for the Bengals. I'll take the points. I'll take Jamar Chase to go off and get me close. Whether they take the win or gets close, it's hard to call when you've got 2 backups like this, really.
No, it's hard to call. Yeah, we've only got 1 difference so far, so I'm going to go the other way to make things more entertaining. I'll go Vikings -3.5. Mainly because Flores versus Browning. Quite like that. Blitz him to death, to be honest, is probably what I think he will do. So yeah, I'll go for the Vikings. What's the total on this game? It's got to be low. Lowest of the week, 1. Yeah, well, actually, no, joint lowest of the week. There's another game in a minute. But yeah, 41. That doesn't make sense. I'm not sure this game's going to get over 41, to be honest, but we'll see. Cool. On to the Sunday late window then, and we'll go with an AFC West battle first. Broncos at the Chargers. Chargers are favored after they've already beaten 2 AFC West teams. Have we got 3 AFC West games in a row, by the way, for them? That's mental. But they're favored at home by 2.5 points. They looked really good against the Chiefs on offense. Defense looked pretty good, and then the Chiefs obviously had some yards in the second half. Flip it this way, this week against the Raiders, defense looked incredible. Offense had a couple of drives that stalled, but the defense was incredible. So it feels like they're doing well across both sides of the ball. Jesse Minter, mate, we mentioned him preseason, but just feels like he probably is the next guy for a head coach chance. Bo Nix had moments of magic last week and then a couple of bad plays again. You mentioned the Sean Payton, Bo Nix on the sideline. I feel like this is almost a free hit at home for the Chargers with how they've started the game. It feels like the Broncos want a bit of momentum. But yeah, I'm kind of thinking that I think the Chargers defense might cause Bo Nix some problems in this game.
A lot of issues, yeah. For me, when I've looked at the Chargers so far, Chiefs game was kind of like, they were ahead, weren't they? And they stayed aggressive in the passing game. It was up a decent amount at halftime on Monday. In the second half, they looked awful on offense. They didn't know how to close it out in the passing game, and the run game was abysmal with Hampton and Najee Harris. That has to improve because you want to look at 3-0, 3 division wins. The Chiefs are 0-2. You beat the Broncos, they've got a losing record. All of a sudden, I know it's early, but you're thinking to yourself, we've got a real chance here for a home playoff game without just mathematically, with how this is shaking out. You've got to get a running game from somewhere. What a shame about Hampton so far, but we judge rookies really harshly now compared to maybe even just from 10 years ago. See that getting better. Quentin Johnson, by the way, looks like Jerry Rice now. He looks an absolute monster. I don't know where that's come from, but I've got him stashed on a few fantasy football teams, and he's been slipping into my lineups.
Opposite to what we said about Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr., Herbert has got a really good connection with him. If he doesn't drop the passes, he will get 2 or 3 20 to 40-yard passes attempted at him every game. That's just the way Herbert really does like to throw to him. But you're right. The run game is almost like this clever strategy. We don't always talk about the Chiefs, but like Spag said, we thought they'd run it, then they passed it for the whole first half. But maybe they've cleverly worked out that, I don't know if this team, with this offensive line, with the injuries and the changes to the interior, Bozeman at center, maybe they're like, I'm not sure we can run it yet. Maybe it's going to take some time for us to be able to run it. But I think in this game and in the games coming up, they're going to need to run it a bit better because you can't rely on other teams are just going to try and stop the pass now at this point. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I think the first 2 games, they've sold out to stop the run. I think that'll change if they realize that they can't run the ball. So we'll see. We haven't mentioned it, but Khalil Mack, great start to the season. That he's injured now for a few weeks. That will be a big loss for this game. I think this game's actually quite hard to pick with that injury. What do you make quickly to the Broncos start before we go for the spread? What do you make to it? Are you concerned? Do you think it'll be fine? Do you think, because I think most people are quite high on them before the season.
You've got to be concerned, I think, through 2 weeks. They didn't look good against Tennessee with a rookie quarterback starting his first game. Feel like they gave the Titans lots of chances to invite them back into the game. And last week, it backbreaking way to lose. But yeah, they would have looked at Indianapolis on the road at the start of the season with aspirations of winning the division, and they'll be very disappointed. The way that the defense got shredded, they will be bitterly disappointed with that. So I think they've been a disappointment, to be honest. And it's looking quite tricky coming up. Obviously, they've got Chargers this week. Then they're at home to the Bengals now with Brown in, which they'll like. Then they go at Philadelphia. So it's a tricky start, to be honest.
Yeah, if Burrow is fit as well, that'd be a very difficult start. They lucked out a little bit, for sure, with that one. But yeah, it was weird because the offense looked so down in the first game. Second game, the offense had 2 or 3 really good drives. And then the defense was then giving up kind of play action, giving up boots, which is what Daniel Jones wants to do. So yeah, it was a weird place to be. I still think the defense will be one of the best units for sure, but they'll want their coach to kind of dial up a better game plan than getting burnt on boot action plays from Daniel Jones. I think you're first on this one, mate. So like I said, Chargers are favoured, by 2.5 points at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go Chargers. Yeah, I think they can get out of this, go 3-0, and I think they'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, I was worried, to be honest, about Khalil Mack, and again, I'm a bit of a Herbert fan. So I was going to join you. I'm going to go Broncos plus 2.5. I think maybe this is the game. Chargers do like to lose random, or historically have just lost random games as well. So I'm going to go Broncos plus 2.5. We'll see. Might be regretting that come halftime, but we'll find out. Next game then. This is the game I referred to earlier with also the joint lowest points total of the week. Saints at the Seahawks. Seahawks are favoured at home by 7.5 points. So it's a low points total with a 7.5 spread. That means that Vegas thinks most of the points are going to come on one side of the ball here. Seahawks look pretty good in week 2. I think Spencer Rattler's actually playing all right, but the rest of the Saints do not look great. Alvin Kamara's playing pretty well as well, but the defense is getting shredded at times. They're a high turnover team, but they're giving up big drives and big plays as well across both on that side of the ball. 7.5 though is a lot. Where do I go with this? I'm like Spencer Rattler's biggest UK fan, I feel like. And whilst he's still playing, I've got to pick him a few more times. Come on, let's pick him. I'm going to go Saints plus 7.5. They could lose this game by 6. I'd still cover. I'll go Saints plus 7.5. Seems a bit high for the Seahawks, but I think the defense, this could be like 20-3, though, is my concern with how good the defense looks. But if the Saints have a couple of good drives, I'll go Saints plus 7.5.
Yeah, they've certainly been plucky so far, obviously, haven't they, in both their home losses. For me, it's too big. I don't feel like I understand who Seattle are yet. So I'm going to go Saints as well. But I fully expect Seattle to win this.
Yeah, agreed. On to the NFC West. We've got another backup here. We've got Mac Jones starting his next game. We've got Cardinals at the 49ers. 49ers are favoured by 1.5 points. Got Mac Jones versus Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray currently throwing his lowest percentage of passes that result in a first down in the whole NFL, including every quarterback, which is a worry. They've not looked great, to be honest. I don't know who to pick here. Whoever you're picking is going to win the game, right? So I'm going to go Cardinals for some reason. I'm not sure Mac Jones will have 2 good games in a row. So I'm going to go for Cardinals plus 1.5.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to hear that. I'm definitely going to go San Francisco, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, Arizona 2-0, by the way. They've got me the strangest 2-0 team that don't look good at all. The only thing that they got going for them is McBride can move the chains. The connection between Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. is not there, which is a real shame. Obviously, the hype on Harrison coming out last year, but yeah, a bit like Brian Thomas Jr. with Trevor Lawrence, that connection just doesn't appear to be easy at all.
No, and the run game has not been as good, but Kyler Murray's running it quite well when he gets a chance. We'll see what this game looks like. This one might be a bit of an ugly 9.05 or 9.25, whichever one it is. Last game of this window then, Cowboys at Bears. I decided not to mark this in yellow, which is for anyone listening, is what I do on our sheet if we want to talk about a game more. In theory, we should. Two massive fan bases. The quarterbacks are healthy. Good storylines. But I'm not really enjoyed what I've seen from both teams at times, to be honest, this season. So I think this could be a bit of an ugly one. But Cowboys are favored in Chicago by 1.5 points, which I do think is a fair line, to be honest, with how the Bears have looked. We've got a total of 50.5, which is one of the biggest of the week. So people think points in this game. Bears coming back off that embarrassing loss. Cowboys coming off a win, but a win where they made Russell Wilson look like, I don't know, Michael Jordan in terms of NBA level. So I'm not sure where this game's going to go. So I'm glad you are picking this one first, mate. But huge game at home for the Bears, for me. Vital game for them and Ben Johnson.
Wow. I mean, it gets no bigger, really, for in terms of who's coming into town, who is the Cowboys. I mean, won last week, but like you just said, it's like, wow, that's not good, is it? Just think Ben Johnson, mate, he has to get a win. He needs a win. Caleb needs a win, and the old Chicago franchise needs to see something that's like they can build on towards, because otherwise if this is another broken season with 4 to 5 wins, no idea what happens with Caleb at the end of it. Ben Johnson, of course, will be completely sound. But yeah, so what a great game. I think this is an absolutely fascinating game, by the way.
Yeah. This must be the Sky game, surely, with these two fan bases. They must have picked this game.
Yeah, I haven't seen, to be honest with you, but you'd imagine it would be on. But yeah.
Yeah, this will be Tom Brady on Fox as well, wouldn't it?
I'd love to hear what Tom's got to say about Caleb, to be honest with you. We're praising Dak. Dak will be his player of the week, won't he? He would be Brady's player of the week for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He also interviewed what wanted Ben Johnson, didn't he? Remember, it was between the raid and he wanted him. So I'm interested in what he says. And obviously, he's had a controversial week because he was in the booth with the Raiders, and then a bit awkward with that one. But it's you to pick first, mate, for your division rivals. Where are you going?
I'm going to go Dallas. I think without pushing the ball down the field, they're not really pushing it. He's looking pretty accomplished, so I'm just going to go with the better quarterback. I think. No idea what either defense is going to do, because Chicago are a bit banged up, and the Dallas Cowboys looked horrific last week. So
yeah, going back to the stats about Kyler, which is like, it's a series, so you've got 4 downs, obviously, to get a first down every time. Just when they throw it, how many times are they getting a completion and getting a first down? He's bottom. Dak's first. They're not running the ball at all. He's first like 76%, which is mental. So he's playing really well, Dak is, but the rest of the team are not playing well. So I'm with you. I've gone Cowboys. I have a weird feeling they might score a lot of points in this game, and it's not a nice looking day for Chicago. We'll see. On to Sunday Night Football then. We'll be in attendance. We're not going to spend as much time as we got a bit longer, and anyone listening would laugh if I really spend too long on 2 0-2 teams. So we are going to go through this game quick. It is going to be Russ, obviously, after playing pretty well last week. Do you want to guess the spread? Because I was surprised by this. So you know that this means one or two things if I'm surprised. But what do you think it should be?
Minus 6.5.
Oh my God, you're so good at this now. You're like,
is that fun? Oh,
I thought this would be 4.
I was tempted by minus 7.5, but I played it safer.
I thought this would be 4.5, but obviously Chiefs have lost 2 close games to two good teams, but I thought that would be close. Yeah, so we're going to be in this game, so you're going to get the full experience of watching me freak out, maybe argue with New York people, maybe celebrate, maybe enjoy a Jalen Royals touchdown as he's back. But yeah, what are you thinking this game will look like before I go first with the spread?
Well, I'm thinking that we're seeing the NFL passing yardage leader, Sir Russell Wilson, with 618 through 2 weeks. The NFL's leading receiver by yardage, Malik Neighbors, who looks great. I'm excited. Obviously, we're going to this game, and that is an exciting privilege in itself. But I think this could look quite good. I think that this will bring out the offense from the Chiefs, because I expect the Giants to land some of these big plays, because Wendell Robinson and Neighbors look electric, to be honest, and Russ is finding them in the short to intermediate stuff. It's not good. It doesn't look good at all, and that's fine. You probably expect that with Russ at this stage of his career. I expect the Giants to have some success down the field, and I think that will make it a more fun Sunday night football game overall.
Yeah, because they can't run it either, and like the Chiefs have done well stopping the run in 2 weeks, and the Giants' offensive line doesn't scream run the ball at you, does it? It screams Russ, just buy some time and throw it, doesn't it? So yeah, I think this will be quite an exciting game. The Chiefs are getting a couple of wide receivers back. I think that there'll have to be big Mahomes scrambles, because you've got second or third best defensive line in the NFL against an offensive line with two rookies basically playing in it. And then Jawan Taylor, who false starts every 5 minutes. But yeah, I think this will be a fun game as well. We'll see how fun it is at the end for me. But I think this will be a fun game as well. And the conditions are quite good, which is rare sometimes for MetLife Stadium. So yeah, should be good. Chiefs 6.5 then. I think it's me to go first. I can't tell you how desperate I am to put Giants plus 6.5 as an emotional hedge. But I'm going to be at the game, being ridiculous, cheering team on. Chiefs minus 6.5. I think they might win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs as well. My personal bias for the game is that it's close for a while to make it fun. It's no fun if the Chiefs are up 30-0 at halftime. I can tell you that for now. So yeah, I'm going to go Chiefs. I think there'll be some big connections that gets the MetLife going at some points.
Yeah, agreed. By the way, what a summer for back injuries. You got Stafford and Neighbours back injuries, both look incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
By the way, Cam Scatterboo, the yardage is not there. The average is never going to be there. But let me tell you, he will run you over once per game, and he will get somebody.
And it'll be in the red zone, it feels like, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right about that. Tyron Tracy's not that great, but I do think that's offensive line, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if Andrew Thomas plays in this game. On to Monday Night Football then, where I hope to be in a New York bar with beers and wings. Lions at Ravens. Ravens favored at home by 4.5 points.
Wow.
Was it last season or season before? Ravens beat them by about 50 in this game. Jared Goff was terrible. But Lions looked great last week. They didn't look good against the Packers. Ravens looked pretty good for 3 quarters against the Bills. And then the next 3 quarters across the Bills and the Browns was terrible. And then the last 2 quarters, they turned it on. So they're very up and down. Are the Ravens at the moment. Obviously got all the talent in the world. Lions, I think they might have just played the best team in the NFL in week 1 through 3 weeks potentially. So I think this should be quite a fun game, mate. But I would have said before the season, Ravens, not blowout, but 7 to 13, 14 points, but it may be as close at halftime. But I think this is quite a hard one to call now. I was quite impressed with how the Lions played on offense and how good Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta looked. Because we all know Amon-Ra's going to be good. But the fact those 2 guys look so good, I think that gives some hope that the offense could still score 30 points on maybe anybody but the Packers, it feels like.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You could also make the argument that the Lions, we don't know who they are compared to last season because the Packers might be incredible and the Bears might be absolutely atrocious. Yeah. So it's like, where do the Lions fit compared with last year? But I was quite surprised when you read that spread out, to be honest with you, -4.5. I brought that back a couple of points to maybe -2.5. So I think this is an incredible game, to be honest with you. Well, Baltimore need to win, by the way, because it's Kansas City next week in week 4. I absolutely don't want to be going kind of 1 and 3. They still have hopes for getting a 1 seed, and that's going to go out the window if you lose games early like this because Buffalo's schedule is just so nice. So
if both those teams are 1 and 2, by the way, going into that game, like obviously I'm biased, but it's just like if I'm the Ravens, I wouldn't want to play, the Chiefs in that position. Like, do you know what I mean? I know the Chiefs didn't look as good as people thought or whatever, but that's not the team I think you want to go play 1 and 2 at home and with Mahomes playing pretty well. So I think you're right. They probably need a win here just to settle things down a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd expect a lot of yard after the catch in this game with both Zay Flowers and Amon-Ra. But I think this should be a nice scoring game. This should be a great game. Right? Should be the game of the week, shouldn't it? Really?
Yeah, total's 53.5 as well, which I think is the biggest in the NFL. To be honest, I'd probably bet that to go over. Been a bit disappointed with the Ravens' defense, by the way. Jair Alexander didn't play last week because he wasn't quote unquote injured. But he's recovering from a knee injury in the summer. So I'm like, it kind of sounds like you're injured. But he looked terrible against the Bills, and now he's off a week. Now he's back. Yeah. I think the secondary is a unit where on paper it looks great. I think they'd want to see a bit more from the secondary in this game if you're the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, it's a hard one to pick. Lamar's NFC record is absolutely mental. I don't know if he's ever lost a game, has he, to an NFC team. It's incredible against the teams that never see him very
Super Bowl champs last year. That really
different level team, isn't it, mate? So you can't count it. But yeah, it is you to pick, thankfully, for me, for this one. So Ravens -4.5. Where are we going?
Yeah, it's a big spread in terms of the level of both teams. The problem is when there's a lot of points scored, you can easily win by a touchdown. I'm going to go Detroit, though. Keep it close, I think. But I could say either one of these teams winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, me too. I think this is a hard one. I'm going to go with that Lamar record I just mentioned. It is hard when you don't see him very often to play against a quarterback that plays the way he does and can move around the way he does and avoid pressure against Aiden Hutchinson and stuff. Yeah, I'll go Ravens -4.5, but I'm with you. I think this game could go either way. Cool, and that's it for week 3. And that means we started off very aligned. We've ended with a few differences. So we've got 5 differences. So I've gone for Rams +3.5. Patrick's gone for Eagles -3.5. I've gone for Vikings -3.5. Patrick's gone for Bengals +3.5. And the AFC West game, I've gone for Broncos +2.5, and Patrick's gone for Chargers -2.5. I've gone for Cardinals +1.5. Patrick's gone for 49ers -1.5. And then the big game of the week, I've gone Ravens -4.5 at home, and Patrick's gone for Lions +4.5 on the road. So yeah, I think the games we've gone opposite are some good storylines and some good games. So we'll see how that looks, and hopefully we'll get a fun week 3. We need a fun 6 p.m. slate for us, mate, when we're over there. So
yeah.
As I mentioned on the review show from week 2, there'll be one episode next week, probably on Thursday, where we have 5-10 minutes on week 3, and then rattle through some week 4 previews because we haven't got time to do 2 episodes. So yeah, but thanks everyone for listening for this one. Remember to go follow us at Go42Pod on Twitter as well. Go follow Patrick as well at MugsNFL. I'm sure you'll see some Giants-related content and some Malik Neighbors scoring a touchdown behind me whilst I'm in tears that Patrick posts on social media. So yeah, enjoy week 3, everyone, and we will speak to you guys soon.
Speak to you soon, everyone.